Yo, what is good, y'all? It's your boy Raph, and I'm back with another video, man. Now, in today's video, we're going to be going on ahead and reviewing our second map, which will be Arsenal. A lot of you guys have commented and have suggested me to run a VOD on Arsenal, so we will be reviewing Arsenal in today's video. Now, you guys really went crazy with the support that you guys have all shown on the previous analysis, which was on Takeoff. If you guys haven't watched that video, it's up on the screen. I highly recommend you guys check out that video. A lot of information that I have provided in that video. But once again, I do hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys do, make sure to show your support down in the comments down below. If this video does get 100 likes, I will work on a next VOD review map. I'm thinking about doing either Summit or Combine for my next video, so if you guys want to see that, keep up the support. I do appreciate it. But anyways though, besides that, let's go on and hop to the video. Alright, so today's video, we're going to be VOD reviewing my previous video, which was pro scrims on Arsenal and COD Mobile. But before I get into that part of the video, I won't go too in depth with discussing this screenshot over here. This is it's not necessarily specific to Arsenal. It can tweak depending on what hardpoint map, but generally speaking, for majority parts, for example, main spawns are a key solid throughout every single map in the game, especially on hardpoint. Okay, when it comes to primary spawns, the unique aspect of Arsenal and COD Mobile is with Arsenal, you actually, for most hills, only have a primary set of spawns. You don't really have the secondary set of spawns. You used to back in the old days of Arsenal, maybe in 2023, but ever since the tweak that they have adjusted in 2024, I feel like Arsenal has just become a very compact and simple to read map, and you guys will, after watching this video, I promise you'll have no trouble with playing Arsenal. It's actually a really easy map to play. Split spawns, there are split spawns in every single hardpoint map. This one is a little bit more easier than usual to read though, and it does get hectic sometimes, especially on P2. Exit spawns, I don't really think Arsenal has that many exit spawns, or they might just not have any exit spawns on this map period. Squad spawns is kind of a straightforward thing. Once again, Arsenal is a very simple, very straightforward map. But once again, heading into Arsenal, it's a very simple and basic map. I'm actually going to review P1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? There are 5 hardpoints, but this map is not actually Arsenal. This is Hacienda. And I want to point out something that is very important to understand with Arsenal. So the way Arsenal has changed now, what have they changed from the OG Arsenal to nowadays, the recent Arsenal? The modernized version of Arsenal is very simple. The way the spawns work, there are 2 main spawns. However, one of the 2 main spawns, the split spawns, are actually beside one of those 2 main spawns. What do I mean? Okay, when it comes to Hacienda, this is P2 Hacienda, the garage area. You have the rock spawn, you have the statue spawn, and you have the well spawn, okay? The 2 main spawns, if you divide the hardpoint like this, are going to be either this one or this one, okay? Now, what's very, very important is, as you can see, the split spawn is actually this area, but the split spawn is pretty close to one of the main spawns. The reason why I'm pointing that out, and the reason why it's very important to try your best to take the safer main spawn, which in this case is rocks, is because it is far from the split spawn. You're gonna understand what I mean when we go over the gameplay. Anyways though, so we're gonna review the hardpoints and the spawns one by one. Then as every single hardpoint shows up, I will kind of flash it for you guys one more time so you guys can actually understand when I'm explaining it. P1 is pretty simple. The 2 main spawns, when we divide the map like this, okay, is going to be this area, and it's also going to be this area. The split spawns, okay, this is a split spawn, this is also a split spawn, and you can see the main spawn is closer. Okay, main spawn A is closer to the top and bottom split spawns in comparison to main spawn B, which is independent of it. So the main spawn is a bridge, and then you have the cafe. This is your secondary spawn that works hand in hand with the loading zone spawn. However, this one isn't too reliable, and you don't actually spawn here too often. These are both split spawns, so if you spawn here, try your best. And even actually speaking, even if you spawn on the main spawn, which would be spawn A, even if you spawn on the main spawn, as soon as you enter the reception/white area, we call this white, you want to take a look on your left and take a look on your right. You're going to see me do that constantly because I understand how sensitive the spawns may work. How does this relate to the second hardpoint on Hacienda? Very simple. In this case, this is going to be spawn A. This one right over here, this one's going to be spawn B over here. And as you can see, spawn B is very close to a split spawn. Same over here, spawn A in this case is very close to both of the split spawn areas, whereas spawn B, very similar to spawn A, we like to call this rocks on Hacienda, is very far from the split spawn areas. So long story short, you're going to notice this a lot of times on this map on Arsenal. Now, coming into P2, the spawn A, which will be in this area, the guns spot. Spawn B will be on the lower part, lower P2. I don't know what we call this. We'll just call it construction. The split spawn is going to be on the white area, okay, inside P1. In this case, spawn A is actually the bad part or the worst of the main spawns because spawn A is closer to the designated split spawn area. Now, there is a twist. On spawn B, your opponents, you'll see sometimes I'm going to push up on this L wall and I'm going to actually cut them off here. As long as I don't actually over peak like on these lanes and push up to this area, meaning if I'm just chilling over here and constantly cutting off here, you're going to see me do that. The opponents will keep cycling the spawn. Sometimes they may actually spawn over here, but as long as I do not push up, they'll keep recycling one of these two spawns, which is good for me. With that being said, if you're somebody who keeps on overextending without alerting your team that you might cause a spawn to split, the split spawn in question actually goes between one of these two spawns. Yes, your opponents can spawn with your teammates can spawn on top of your opponents, vice versa. Now, where do we see this? We see this once again with spawn B, or main spawn B, with its secondary spawn, which is in P5, aka media. Just be careful when it comes to Arsenal. Arsenal is a very simple map and you have two main spawns and then you have a split spawn near one of those two main spawns. The problem though is when you're somebody who tries to play cutoffs and overextend. As soon as you overextend past that imaginary line that is over here, or not even over here, it's probably like right there, and as soon as you cross that and you try to slay them out and you're provoking a spawn flip, if they don't spawn in the split spawn, they will spawn in your spawn. Now, going into P3. P3 is a little bit more simple. You have, in this case, spawn A, which is the office stairs. Then you have spawn B, which is the media, inside of media, aka P5. This spawn, once again, it can act as a secondary spawn towards the B spawn, which is the main spawn. These spawns can sometimes act as if it's a secondary spawn, but generally speaking, your best bet, I'm gonna be honest, you can play this hardpoint from whatever side you want. Eventually somebody might just spawn behind you. If somebody, in this case, if you're spawning on the lower side and you try to overextend towards the second bush, you're going to provoke a spawn flip probably to this area. Long story short, when it comes to Arsenal, I'm going to say this many times, you have to be attentive to where your teammates are, and you also have to pay attention to where you are. Now, heading into P4, okay? P4, we can see a pretty similar comparison to Hacienda's P2. We're going to call this spawn B. This is the main spawn. You can see it's very simple. This is very similar to, once again, Rock's spawns on Hacienda P2. Now, heading into spawn A, this one is a little tricky. Main spawn A is actually this little dot right here. When it comes to these two spawns, you can have the ability to spawn in this area. This spawn kind of acts as if it's a double agent, sometimes good, sometimes bad, okay? Sometimes it can operate with main spawn A, other times when somebody's provoking it, it can cause a split spawn. Now, this spawn right here is your split spawn. However, this spawn is only triggered when somebody on the opposing team is pushing up over here and actually LOS blocking spawn B, while the opponents are recycling these spawns in general. So, long story short, when that does happen, you can have this, if you ever spawn here, and you look at the kill feed and your teammates are dead, pay attention to where they spawn. If they recycle this spawn, that means you have enemies right in front of you in the reception area, and if not, then you can probably flank around here and play some cutoffs. Yeah, once again, you guys really see a constant when it comes to what spawns you want to prefer. You usually want to prefer the spawn that is further away from the split spawn, okay? Because if you don't, and if you choose to go for spawn A, not only are you having to worry about these little cutoffs that can occur, it's just way shittier from my experience entering the hill from a wide ramp in comparison to a narrow ramp that enters an L. So yeah, as long as you understand the basic characteristics of how the map is actually designed, you will actually realize, okay, this spawn is better to attack than this spawn. Pretty simple stuff. Now, when it comes to P5, as you can see, there's two spawns here. It just provokes teams and just influences teams to just run to the hill. That eliminates the whole point of trying to go for flanks and stuff like that. You will see me do that sometimes when I do have the opportunity to. But yeah, anyways, when it comes to spawn A, alright, and comparing it to spawn B, main spawn A is going to be this area, main spawn B is going to be this area. This spawn over here, this one can be, yet again, it's a double agent. It can act as the secondary spawn towards spawn B. Do mind, alright? because of, if you divide the way the hard point is in half, you have this segment of the map, the other segment of the map. All right, the way it's designed, it is pretty hard, I'm going to be honest, to actually cause a spawn flick to occur on this map. This is your split spawn, but because spawn B is pretty close to the split spawn, the split spawn acts as if it is a double agent towards spawn B. Once again, I'm really trying to pull this up because this is the greatest example you can see of why spawns actually are pretty important on Arsenal. But yeah, once again, that's pretty much all I got when it comes to discussing the spawns, and I kind of went a little bit more in depth than usual when it comes to having to play the map, so I hope that was some great advice to you. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and hop into the next part of the video, which will be me VODing my gameplay with you guys. So alright, heading into the first part of the game, I was just telling my team that we're going to go for a 5-man P1 push. The best way to play P1 is actually attacking the hill as a team, especially if you're spawning on this spawn. Because if you spawn on this spawn and you're constantly pushing both of their sides, which you're going to see me do, you're going to cause them to spawn over there, but the rest of them are going to spawn all the way out. So at this point, I'm telling my teammates that I'm going to actually push the left side of P1. I'm going to throw a smoke on the left side so I can push through as aggressive as possible. I'm just going to let it play out so you guys can really notice what I'm saying. But boom, 3, 2, 1, pop smoke over there. So you see me already pre-firing the cafe entry. Thank God, beautiful stun grenade out of my teammate. My AR players are going to win the gunfights on both pillars, and just like that, because I got there so fast, one of the players aren't even able to react to the time. This is how you play aggressive. When you play aggressive and get the timing on your opponents, you just get free kills like this. Now, these two guys also went for the window push, but as you can see, biggest problem with going through window is you're jumping out into an area where you have to clear. There's so many corners that you have to clear. So just push the hill as a team and win the gunfights 5v5. If you do something as a team, that is where you can succeed at the highest rate. Now at this point, I'm running as fast because I played so aggressive and I played up to their pillars. First blood spawns out, okay? We're going to go ahead and pull up P1 really quickly. If you cross this line on spawn A or spawn B, if you cross that line, the first blood will spawn out. That especially occurs if we get multiple kills. In this case, we literally killed their whole team, therefore causing a spawn flip. But yeah, you can see me, I'm reloading, I'm trying my best to run. I lost a little bit of timing there because I chose to pop the VMP and reload, so therefore I pull out my killer drone. I already knew they're going to push through because it's pretty easy. So at this point, lucky killer drone on me. Pre-firing the smoke because I see the two little trophies over here. Pretty simple stuff. Get a good kill. Unfortunately, we're going to die in a few seconds, and it's all good. So, reset. Boom. Now, we have the secondary spawn, aka we can't really say it's a split spawn, because in this case, our teammates reinforced this area. So, this spawn really just acts as if it is a secondary spawn, but very rarely, under very rare situations, you can have a split spawn in this spawn. But, in this case, as you can see, my two teammates, it's a 2v3 situation right now. At this point, because our teammates have the hill, there's no point going for a vent flank or going for a window flank. You just have to reinforce and recycle the hill. It is very important to just push to the hill and reinforce the hill. Now, unfortunately, I'm going to focus too much on my teammates, and that's going to result in me dying over here. You know, I was prepared for that. I got punished for that. Don't be like me where you yap too much to the point where you kind of like can't multitask. You know, you got to have a balance between two, but at the same time, this is a pickup team. I'm trying my best to IGL for them, so it's pretty hard in my shoes, but we make it work. So at this point, we spawned out, and I'm preparing to see if anybody comes through here, but because we had these spawns recycled, that means the spawn is now flipped. So that must mean that they're spawning where we were spawning, which is cafe and media, and they should also, if possible, spawn near the window area. So that means they're going to reinforce both this area and this area, potentially maybe the vents area. So at this point, my teammate's holding it down. You got 2 big kills. I'm smoking up right side, and I'm going to assume that I'm going to push the right side. Teammate gave me a call as well. Somebody's window one shot, pre-firing, got the big kill. They were playing off our smoke. It's beautiful stun grenade on my teammate as well. You're going to see it in 3, 2, 1, boom. Free 2-piece. You know what I'm saying? At this point, I'm pushing all the way through to provoke a spawn flip. I do think somebody should still be here, because if there was nobody here, we would have had this teammate spawn here. So that must mean that somebody is in this area. I mean, hear a little footstep near the tower, so I'm like, okay, just like that. My thoughts went from assumptions to confirmations. Ever since I started thinking about sounding in that way, it's been very, very helpful. So at this point, I'm grabbing the top tower here to see where they are, chilling. Boom, teammate gets 2 kills, call the predator missile, and we see these 2 guys flanking the cut area. Eliminate both of them, and just like that, my teammates have recycled the construction zone on P2. That must mean they are spawning on main spawn A and potentially the window spawn if somebody overextends. Now, the thing that does suck is my teammate, unfortunately, is going to sit in the hill. He's not going to actually overextend the top part. Actually, never mind. Cat Muncher was doing a phenomenal job pressuring this spot. Black King should have been the person to hop up and pressure that as well. You always want to have people reinforcing that area. But if Cat Muncher does fuck it up, he may end up spawning. Okay, he first blooded. He's gonna spawn this area. Boom, just like that. Yeah. And I made sure to turn around and make sure that he spawns there. You know, but got 3 people. And I make sure to push as fast as possible to continue this cutoff on L. And like I said, if you're playing this area properly, you should be fine for the most part. Not sure why that happened. Maybe our teammate could have actually looked back and soft anchored the deep spawn, but unfortunately he spawns out window. So obviously in the heat of the moment, I'm not gonna be able to react to that stuff. And boom, died because of that. Pretty unfortunate. And you can see right there, you can see the opponent literally spawn on the person, and then boom, just like that, I got the split spawn. So now I'm alerting my teammates that spawns are like crazy right now. You see, we're not actually recycling the ramp spawn. We're actually cycling the window spawn. So that must mean, okay, at this point, it confirms that they're going to spawn over here because our teammate just spawned over there. You can see, when it comes to Arsenal, the spawns are so hectic, but also so basic at the same time. Just pay attention to your minimap. That is my biggest advice to you guys. Pay attention to your minimap. So at this point now, I realize it's 30 seconds left. I'm going to try to go for one wide flank and see if I can make an interesting play. Because I know there is no punishment to me doing this flank because my teammates are blocking both the split spawn and the top spawn, which means they're going to spawn on top of me. So that's why I'm playing really passive here. I understand orange just died. Boom, orange is right there. Pretty easy. Reed is going to spawn there. Get that kill. I got to go fast before they spawn behind me. Okay, I took too much time. And I'm going to get shot in the back in 2 seconds. 1 second, 0. Boom. Yeah, pretty readable. But I guess I chose to do that to help out the hill instead. No problem. I'm chilling here for a little bit. Nobody's here. Boom. Alright, we're going to go for new. Now, going into P3, you got to realize one important thing that I had pointed out in my previous video, okay? Always try your best to put yourself in your opponent's shoes. If your opponents, they're playing heavily on old, they're going to recycle. In this case, it was the yellow spawn, okay, the construction spawn. That means they're going to navigate towards the fastest route to the hill. For the most part, there are 3 lanes, no matter how you see every single map on every single hardpoint, there's 3 lanes. P3, for example, you have 1 lane, you have 2 lanes, you have 3 lanes, okay? They cycled spawn B, we cycled spawn A. That means our fastest route to navigate towards new will be here, here, and probably here to new. Alright? Vice versa, if you're spawning on the lower side, they're probably going to take the fast route or the longer route to anchor P3's safe spot, which would be over here. When it comes to the secondary route that they may rotate from, it could be over here sometimes, which is why you're going to see me lingering for a little bit longer than usual. I actually stalled for a lot of time here when I entered the window to see if anybody was taking that route, but in this case nobody took that route, so we were pretty much chilling. But yeah, anyways though, you're gonna see at this point there's nobody with us. Judging based off how timing works in this game, at this point they should be on the second bush, which will be right here. So you're gonna see me prepare for that in 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second, boom. And at that point, I'm already preparing for that gunfight. I kind of reacted to it pretty slow, but I realized their prospective teammate, and also looking at my minimap, judging off based on where my teammates are cutting off their rotations, which means there's a lot of dead zone near main spawn A. What is dead zone? Long story short, if there's nobody in a general area, which is close to a primary spawn, or just a spawn in general, they're gonna anchor that spawn. But yeah, I'm gonna pop a nade over there, and I'm gonna pop on equals, and chilling, boom. Alright, pretty simple stuff. Now at this point, I'm still in the mindset that we're playing the old Arsenal, which means they would have probably spawned Cafe trying to route through P1. But nobody opened the door, and I also heard that audio kill last minute, so I'm going to turn around, and I guess based off from here on forth, I'm just going to pay attention to these spawns over here. So we're going to get this guy right here. We're going to keep pushing down a little bit, and we're going to post up over here. But boom, I realized my teammate just spawned right here. So the likelihood of them spawning here is it's basically impossible. But yeah, I still have my old Arsenal tendencies. As you can see, I'm taking a lot more time than usual because I'm still used to the old Arsenal where there are a lot more secondary spawns, but there really isn't. And usually people will route towards white to try to flank, but because of how the spawns are now, people are just influenced to just funnel whatever spawn they get and push from there. In this case, this area or this area. You know what I'm saying? It's pretty basic stuff. But yeah, we're just chilling here. We're causing them to force a main flood, which is basically playing them in uniform. Very simple. At this point, I'm also paying attention to where my teammates are spawning because we just had a 1-for-1 trade. We cycled the deep spawn, which means I am going to enter enemy territory by taking this route. So I'm already thinking I'm going to try to go for Vancy flank. But at this point, I noticed that, okay, I was initially going to go towards Vent and try to play as an off angle for people who are wide swinging to the hill. But my teammates just cracked the shit. So I was like, okay, you know what? No point in me going over here. So I'm going to chill here for a little bit. And I think I'm going to go back inside. Yeah, I'm going to go back inside. And unfortunately, I lost too much timing. And we're going to lose this gunfight in a few seconds. 3, 2, 1, and we lost. So it does suck. Also, that's my friend. Oh, body shooting. It's jokes, man. Don't take it serious. At this point, I'm asking my teammates what operators do we have because when it comes to Arsenal, you will be one of two teams. You'll either be the team that rotates early and loses scrap points on the previous hill, or you'll be vice versa, the team who plays old and loses the rotation onto new. Okay? In this case, we're the team that lost the rotation. So, generally speaking, if you can get the opportunity to, you would actually want to play for the loading and for the yellow spawn so that you can cause them to spawn in all these areas. P4 is a very operator dumped base hill. Operators are very strong in this, and it's just a lot of funneling in general on hardpoint Arsenal, on P4 especially. So yeah, pretty simple stuff. Unfortunately, I don't think we are going to obtain the... Yeah, we're going to keep recycling the bad spawns. So I'm just like, you know, at this point, let's just try to boom the hill. We got 2 people. We'll try to bang the hill. But unfortunately, boom, Vortex. I'm like, okay, you know what? I see a claw. I see the Vortex. There's no point in me pushing blindly. Let me just play it a little slower than usual. Barely missed that shot. And we peeked that guy. Almost got him off the overextension. Unfortunately, the Gravity Vortex AOE caused us to die. So, cycling one of the split spawns and secondary spawns. But, yeah. Hop-up window. Pop a smoke. We got enemy contact through the caption. So, that does mean that somebody is in my vicinity. We're going to go in and get 1. Get 2. Hopefully, we turn around and get the 3rd. No, we don't. Okay, no problem. At that point, team, got the kill. I gotta turn around and be faster because I realized that they're spawning behind me. You know. But yeah, pretty simple stuff. We're gonna keep focused on the cutoff. I think we're gonna die right now. Yeah, unfortunately, didn't realize that guy. Well played on both of them. Where we spawn? Okay, we spawn here. Now, I do realize that they are spawning over here, and I could go for the flank, but pay attention to what I'm gonna do. 15 seconds. Put myself in their shoes. If we're once again going from P4 to P5, okay? They're cycling these spawns. They're going to route through here, and most likely through here, and most likely through here. So, with me getting the opportunity to spawn on the split spawn last second, I'm going to turn around, and I'm going to be like, I'm going to play the cutoff. So, we're going to chill here for a little bit, wait for the audio cue, boom, get the first kill, turn around, get the second guy as well. We're going to throw a smoke there and put a little bit more pressure there, just play a little ratty, get the audio cue that somebody's coming through the ladder. Okay, cool. Get the kill over there. Turn around immediately because I did hear this guy in 3, 2, 1, 0, boom. Get the guy as well. Unfortunately, can't do too much. I'm not Superman. Can't win every single gunfight. It's all good. And where do we spawn? Boom. We spawn right here. Now, I'm actually telling my teammates, he does that on EMP. I'm telling him to pop the EMP because if he pops the EMP pretty early, that means that they cannot use their operators to enter the hill. Now, long story short, you're going to also see me explain this when it comes to the end of the video. EMPs do more than just destroy trophies and utilities across the map. They destroy every single utility, including score streaks. Everything is eliminated. You are basically forced to use your gun for the next 10 seconds because EMPs last for 10 seconds. With that being said, you cannot use an operator. You cannot pop your smoke. You can't pop your tacticals. You can't pop your grenades. You can't pop none of that. You're forced to only use your guns. So that's what I'm saying for my teammate to pop the EMP because entering P5, people are going to use operators for that first squad push. So you want to try your best to eliminate that factor and cause it to be a strictly guns based 5v5 and not operators. Okay, so that's why I was telling my teammates to pop the MP, pop the MP. Unfortunately, I'm going to lose that gunfight. We get the refrag, and where are we going to spawn? Boom. So yeah, spawns are just really simple. I'm trying my best to see if they're going to split spawn, but once again, I'm so used to the old Arsenal. If this is OG Arsenal, somebody would have spawned right there, but it's just very simple. We got the call out, somebody's flanking. Was a little risky. I was a little hesitant, or not hesitant. I was a little late to that gunfight, but we did win the gunfight. Thank God. Yeah, gonna see me pull up over there, chilling. We unfortunately get stunned. Pretty scary, but thank God that we won that gunfight. And we're gonna pop recalls. Seen those 2 guys going upstairs as well. Pretty simple stuff. Now at this point, I'm waiting to see where my teammates spawn. I see on the minimap as well. I was looking at the minimap in this moment, but I also see in this little X marker. That must mean Zeo in this case is cafe. We're just gonna push him with equalize. It's pretty simple stuff. Pay attention to what I'm gonna do next. This is something that a lot of players really overlook. Okay, I'm gonna kill this guy. And now I see my teammate recycle to the spawn, so now I'm thinking I can just navigate. Initially, my plan was to navigate all the way towards white to try and cut them off and cut off the reinforcements to route towards P1. Why am I doing that? Because when we look at P1 and the way P1 is structured, once a five-man team gets inside of P1, okay, you can have 2 people on 1 pillar watching one door, same vice versa, and 1 guy on the hill watching the window. I'm not gonna lie, your likelihood of collapsing the hill, especially when doors are a thing, is very low. So, how do you prevent that? Well, look at the previous hill, in this case, P5. We can try our best to get inside P5 and set up P5 before they do, causing them to actually go through what I just told you guys, which is not fun to go through. That's one of the reasons why I do this a lot, but I'm going to twist it up a little bit. So now I'm thinking at this point, it's 23 seconds. I'm feeling pretty confident. I feel like they're just going to keep following the hill. They're not thinking in their mind that they want to go for new. They're going to keep funneling. Not to mention, if they rotate right now, we're going to basically be at like 194 points. They're going to still be sitting on 40. It's not smart for them to rotate. So now I understand that, and I'm like, you know what? Let me change my plan. Let's go for a vents flank and cut them off and maximize our equalizer's value. Because they also think, based off of how the spawns are and just how the map is played nowadays, people are just going to funnel one lane. Nobody uses the secondary lane that's beside the primary lane that's really active to go for flanks. That's where I come in. I always try my best to go for flanks and just do a lot of stuff. I always, if there's an opportunity to, I will always take the opportunity to flank, you know, because it's just, people just don't expect it. So now, I'm one shot, Orange called me out, I'm inside fence. In their mind, they're like, okay, Raph has an equalizer, Raph has a tendency of pushing out and playing aggressive. So they're probably thinking that they're probably just posted up waiting for Raph to either exit one of the 2 vents. So I'm like, you know what, let me chill out, let me heal up. And I also understand I'm in such a tight area. Let's call a Predator missile and let's kill this person. Boom. Now, at this point, I'm going to turn around and I'm going to throw my killer drone here because I'm going to teach you guys something very important. Okay, this is something that I've studied in my 6 years of competing, and no pro player has ever passed this test that I've always conducted on every single player. Okay? I call it the spin back theory. Okay, I talk about this a lot on my stream, but long story short, because I just killed Orange, right here in this case, I killed Orange, he just died ventilation, he wants his revenge. Every player has an ego, okay? Inside the game, every single player, pro player, comp player, casual, doesn't matter who it is, every single player, we're humans, and humans suffer from pride, okay? Now, when it comes to the levels, there are levels to it, but every single person has suffered from pride or is still suffering from pride, okay? When it comes to COD Mobile, the player, in this case Orange, will try to get his revenge because he doesn't like how he died. And it's not Orange's fault. I've been there at some point. Every single player's been at that point. The difference is, I'm very aware of this because I caught myself doing this a lot. So, I like to do this. Boom! Just like that. Got a killer drone. Very simple stuff. Once you learn that, the game's really a mental thing more than it is a mechanical thing, because anybody can be a good mechanical player in this game, but mentality is what sets aside a good player and a true pro player, you know. So yeah, but anyways, at this point I'm trying my best to minimize the space between me and my opponents, because I realize once again, when it comes to how the spawns operate, P5, we're cycling spawn point B, so they must be spawn point A. They're preparing for new because they just got squad wiped multiple times. They're going to go through this lane, maybe this lane, maybe one of their players might route towards old. So what am I going to do as a frontline player? I'm trying my best to run and minimize that gap between me and my opponent, so I can prepare for a very advantageous gunfight in my favor, where somebody in this case is running with their gloves out. Very easy gunfight for me to win. Boom. So now I also hear the audio cue before that person came through, so I can turn around and pay attention. Unfortunately, steering mode did call me out. He's looking at vents, so the person in vent is going to slow down. I also hear this person, gonna kill him, but unfortunately I did tunnel towards this kill and it got me shot in my back. Sucks. So can't do nothing about that, but I think my job was done, because as the frontline player, I'm by myself here. If I just peeked and died, they're going to enter a 50-50 gunfight and they're going to obtain the pillars on their side. On Arsenal, the pillars act as if it's an head glitch, and if you're inside of P1 and you especially have even one of the 3 pillars on control, that means your teammates can reinforce that and play off of you. You don't want that if you're defending the hardpoint. So that's why I'm really trying my best to cut them off, be a nuisance, so that my teammates can rotate and come towards the hill. So yeah, that's really why I'm doing all this. Got our EP, that's great. Unfortunately, we lost, no problem. So we spawned stairs. Okay, great. And it actually seems like we spawned on the bottom part of the stairs. Now, I'm not sure if I wrote that down. Okay, so, little mistake. When it comes to this spawn, this is going to be the bottom spawn. Okay, little mistake on me. I apologize, but yeah. Now, I'm also pre-firing that, by the way, because I'm looking at the minimap and I'm like, okay, I spawned by myself. My teammate's all the way up here. This guy just came from the elevator. He spawned over here, I believe. This guy's going over here, so they might be pulling this spawn. Also, we only got 2 for 1. But in this case, it's a 5v5 situation. My teammates are still playing really up front on the cafe area. So I'm trying my best to pre-fire that and see if anybody's going to come through there. Apparently not. Also, unfortunately, I don't know if you guys seen it. I'm going to play it one more time. I'm going to like pause it a lot. 3, 2, 1, 0. He's doing the body block. I didn't notice it in the moment though. But check me out. Enemy in sight. This is why I always tell you guys to turn on captions. Turning on captions are very, very, very important, because when your crosshair is actually, this is a true thing, when your crosshair is not on the opponent and you don't actually make visible eye contact with the person, especially if there's a smoke or if they're behind, for example, a curtain, your character will actually see it and your character will call it out. You won't see it, but your character will, which is why I say all the time, turn on captions. If you guys want to know how to turn on captions, check out my settings video. Anyways though, pop smoke over there. Thank God he was kind of lacking. We're gonna play, yeah, unfortunately I did hear that. I tried to react to that, lost the gunfight, no problem. My team is still reinforcing it, so now at this point it will be a 5v5 situation. I'm rounding back towards this area to reinforce my teammates instead of going for the window route, because I feel like going through the window route will be a lot more obvious to like push through. So I'm still calling out that somebody might be in this general area and he could have gone through the white area. But I'm also saying at this point I would have seen him. If nobody's here, he might have gone vents. So I'm still keeping eyes on the backstab. And at this point, we pop smoke on the left side. I think we missed our smoke. No, we landed the smoke. Okay, so we're throwing it over there. I'm gonna turn around again to cut off the white, but unfortunately, I lost time. I didn't read it in time. Lost the gunfight. No problem. But you see how I'm reacting to when the spawns flip almost immediately, right? That's very important, bro. Very, very important. Bending the door open to see if they come through. Nobody's here. They're playing for new. Pretty simple stuff. Alright, teammate just died window. And while I'm still paying attention to that, I want to see if anybody's coming through vents. Nobody came through vents. That's a pretty weird gunfight to go for, so I'm going to pop the MP right now. And I'm just going to like stall time. I'm going to stall time and divert the attention from them funneling the hill as a squad to sometimes some of them. In this case, one of the players will sit right here in 3, 2, 1, 0. Boom. So you can see it's a 4v4 situation because both me and him are just doing fuck shit, okay? And in this case, it works in my favor because we have a huge lead on the opponent, and we also just pop the MP, and my teammates have the heal. They don't. Life is good. You know what I'm saying? We're Bing chilling, bro. We are literally Bing chilling, okay? Again, old habit. I be thinking I'm playing old Arsenal where they would spawn cafe. Nobody spawns there, no problem. So now at this point, I'm using the smoke as a way to navigate up close and personal to play some cutoffs and just be a nuisance. We're gonna get 1 kill over there. Pop the reload. Pre-fire where they get the other kill. We're gonna drop on the ladder. I think at this point, yeah, we did the spawn flip. So I'm not gonna react to that really quick. We're gonna see and take this route to get the high ground on the opponents instead of going up personal like I usually would and play the cutoffs. But at this point, I'm just chilling, playing high ground. I try to enter the hill from here. No, I try to go for a flank, but pretty soft there. No problem. Shit happens. If you don't know, you can actually prone on this part of the staircase and contest the hill. Now, I will test later on and maybe do it on stream another day and see whether or not you can hop on these ledges of the hill and contest the time. But from what I know, if you stand on the ladder, you are contesting the time. Unfortunately, I guess he's seen me and he pre-fired me, so it was pretty risky. But yeah, at this point, we're chilling. Get the kill, turn around, maybe they might spawn here. 3, 2, 1, 0. Game is over. But yeah, pretty simple stuff, I'm not gonna lie. Today's VOD on Arsenal may have not been the most in-depth, but I'll be honest, there isn't too much to talk about when it comes to understanding the spawns, okay? If you guys want to take a screenshot of how the spawns work one more time, here's P1 for you. See it, okay? This is P1. This is going to be P2. This is going to be P3. This is going to be P4, P5. But yeah, if you guys want to take a screenshot, go crazy. There you go. If you guys want to see the documents on how spawns work, once again, here you go as well. Pretty simple stuff, but yeah. Anyways though, once again, I do appreciate you guys for tuning into today's VOD. I know it may have not been as in-depth as Takeoff, but you gotta remember, Arsenal is the easiest map to play once you understand how the spawns work and just looking at your minimap and pay attention to your opponents. Remember, Arsenal, the way it works now, a lot of teams will force themselves to navigate through one lane. Remember, every single hardpoint map has 1, 2, 3 lanes, okay? Don't be that person to funnel one lane. Think outside the box. Be like me. Try to go for flanks. It'll help you a lot. But anyways, though, once again, I do appreciate you guys so much for tuning in to today's video. If you guys do enjoy today's video, make sure to go in and drop a like, subscribe if you are new, and we'll see you guys in the next video, man. Peace out, y'all.